If you are married to someone, this is for men and women, this particular question. If you are married to someone and at some point in your relationship, your marriage, you decide to sever your ties and divorce and go your separate ways. If you divorce one another, should you also divorce your in-laws? Yes, I said that. I asked that question. Should you divorce your in-laws if you've divorced your husband, or men, you've divorced your wife? Should you no longer have any interaction or any positive, meaningful relationship with her family or his family any longer? In other words, if you leave her, do you leave the family of hers as well? That's an interesting question. I was talking to someone about that not too long ago, and I've got mixed reviews on that subject. Some say, yes, when you leave her or him, the family doesn't exist to you any longer either. And some say, well, it depends on what your relationship with the family was. I tend to sort of lean to that side. Just because, let's say, myself, hypothetically speaking, if I was married to a woman and we got divorced, her mother or father, if they're still living, I don't see a reason why I would not continue communicating with them. Or if she has siblings, brothers and sisters, or aunts and uncles, I don't see why I would not continue to communicate with them as well. Maybe even engage in activities with them. Sort of a touchy situation with some, sensitive for many. But it depends, I believe, on how mature you are as a person and how mature they are. Maybe not all of the family members would embrace you after you leave their daughter, and maybe some would, maybe all of them would. So it just depends on the situation and the group of people that we're talking about. But my first thought would be, no, just because you and I are not together anymore, I still love and care for your mother, your father, and the rest of your relatives and that. But it's up to them how they see me when it's all said and done with you and I. Just because you and I are no longer together doesn't mean that I've dismissed your family. And honestly, if you do get a divorce, the divorce should be a mutual separation between the two of you without any violence and hostility. We do know that that doesn't always happen that way. Oftentimes, divorces are very, very ugly. But I'm not talking about those in this particular instance. They shouldn't be ugly. You should be able to reason with the other person and part, especially when there are children involved, when you have children with one another. Just for the sake of the children, you should have an amiable relationship as it relates to communication, even though you're not together romantically, or marital situation is no longer in existence. You should still co-parent, and the mother should not deny the father the ability to see his children. And the same thing is true if the father has custody of the children. If there are younger children, the mom should not be denied the ability to see her children, because they're both of you all's children. They belong to both of you. So we have to really, really think about this. So if I have children, in my hypothetical situation I just told you a moment ago, if I have children with this woman, for the sake of our children's development, growth, we need to be peaceful and be able to interact with one another for the sake of those children, minimally. Now, as far as the rest of their family is concerned, or her family is concerned, I have no qualms about her still communicating with my family and talking to my family and so forth. But some might say also it depends on what the nature of the breakup was. Something to consider. So I'm just interested to hear what your take is on this subject. If you're married to someone and you all divorce, do you also divorce her family, or does she also divorce your family because you're no longer together? Let me know what you think. Let me know about your experience as well, and we'll go from there. Brother Teacher here.